WOCA.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this, Friday. Of course, it's Friday morning. Jim George is in the studio last week. Boy, you hit a button last week, Jim, and maybe we'll connect again with our listeners. And you had a straggler last week. After you left, we had somebody calling in asking a question about power surge protectors. Jim George is the owner of American Cable Services. If you want to call now. The number is 622-9622. That is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
Yeah, we had a call, and I guess I'll just start with that if you don't mind, so I don't forget to ask you. The question was about surge protectors, specifically about a surge protector that this person who called, this lady, asked about. She had heard that there was one that the electric company, Ocala Electric Utilities, offers.
Right.
Okay, so what is that, and what do we need to know about it?
Well, usually every electrical company will offer it. TECO, SECO, OEU, Duke Energy. They'll come out, and on your house, where the wire first enters your house, they will put in a device that will stop a major surge. Now, it won't filter your line in the sense that sometimes the power goes a little high, and that little high could actually burn out a refrigerator or a stove or whatever. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it goes low, and your lights will be dim for a long, time. That's called a brownout, not a blackout.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it will stop a direct surge, a direct instantaneous rise in voltage, we call it. And they usually put it on free. And they usually charge you so much a month, like $3 to $5. I'm not positive. Or you could have an electrician put you in one that goes inside your house. It attaches to your panel. It looks like a breaker, so it's not too obtrusive. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it stops any surge, whether it's instantaneous rise, like a lightning strike, or whether it is just one side of the power went a little higher than the other. It kind of smooths it out. And they're like $300. So if the power company charged you $5,
right,
and you had it for a whole year, you'd spend $60. So after 5 years, you would, had paid $300.
Right.
If the electrician comes and does it for you, it's going to cost you about $300. So you might just want to ask yourself, is it better just to pay $5 a month to the power company? Or is it better to buy one and you own it? Because after 5 years, you would still be paying for something with the power company that you could have paid off.
So the question, this is my question now. When lightning strikes, is that considered a power surge?
Well, what happens is lightning sometimes dissipates in the ground. Most often and not. Let's say 90%. But sometimes it dissipates in a tree, hits a tree.
Yeah.
Well, that energy has to go somewhere, so it's seeking ground. Well, when it comes down, it creates a huge ball of energy called EMF, electromotive force. And this force is like magnetic lines of force. Like when you were a kid and you put the metal filings on top of a piece of paper,
right,
and you put the magnet on the bottom,
right,
and you saw all these force fields.
Right.
All right. Well, those force fields cut straight through any electrical wires. And when they do, they induce a voltage. So here you have a normal 110 volts coming into your house, and all of a sudden the lightning strikes a block, 2 blocks, away. And when it does, it energizes that line. Now that line's looking for ground, and it's racing to try and find the closest ground. If you're the closest ground, it's going to come into your house looking for that ground. So there's 2 rules of thumb. Do you want to have a perfect ground in your house, or do you want to have no ground in your house? And the answer finally boils down after a while to have a perfect ground in your house, because that keeps your line more level. So the bottom line is, if lightning strikes in the air, it induces a voltage on your line. It comes racing into your house, And I think I told you last week I went to a guy's house. His name was Phil, and he had replaced his air conditioner, his washer, dryer,
Wow.
his refrigerator.
That's crazy.
All after one storm.
Okay, so now the other power surge, the one that's not lightning related, could that knock out those appliances too?
They can. It depends.
What causes those?
The power company generates power. So there's a generator running, and it's running pretty smooth like your idle of your engine. But sometimes there's a demand for energy. And some of your listeners understand this even a lot better than myself. And when it requires this demand, it's like revving up your engine. Well, when it does, it has to reach a certain point, and then it levels off again. It's like going from 20 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour. You have more RPMs on your engine. Sometimes it revs up a little too fast. It's like hitting the gas and taking off.
Okay.
That surge will come down the line. And when it does, your appliances are basically self-protected, but they can't protect against that. In other words, that's just too much of an instantaneous rise, too much of a change. And you'll lose a washer, a dryer, a refrigerator. A refrigerator is the big one because it's got a transformer inside of it. And that transformer tends to resist any change in the flow of current.
Right.
But once that current gets to a certain point, it amplifies it. So, and now it becomes this huge instantaneous voltage. So surge protectors, whole house surge protectors. We have one on our house. We have two, actually. We have the one the power company put in. And we've been in that house 30 years, actually 31 years, and we have never even had it checked. So it could have been blown out 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
But we put our own in. They do blow, and unless you have them checked. Like if you have one on your house now, call the power company and say, hey, I have this little box. It's about 3-inch by 3-inch hanging off the wires that enter my house. And I understand that's a surge protector. Can you send somebody out to check it? They'll send somebody out. I would think 9 times out of 10 it's bad.
Now, there was a story after Hurricane Sandy in New York and the East Coast up there, Northeast Coast. On Long Island, there was a house that burned down. This is what they said in the news. The power had been out, and when the power company turned back on the power, it did something in this woman's house, and it was like a 2-story house, and the whole thing burned down because of that huge surge that happened because she had not turned off her the main switch on the circuit breaker.
Right.
Okay. So the way I understand it, so there's a big burst, and it caused everything to burn up, and the house burned down. Had she turned off the main switch on the breaker, or the main switch outside, or whatever, and then the power company turned on the power, would that have prevented that?
Yes, and then what she would have done is she would have turned all her breakers off, the little individual breakers, and then she would have put the main on. And then one at a time, she would put on the breakers. She'd put on the light breakers, the wall breakers, ones, and then she'd put on the air conditioning breaker and the water heater breaker. She would do it
slowly.
in steps. Right. And that would prevent the surge.
But we don't do that.
No, we don't.
Ever.
And that's why you always hear about someone, it may not be you, someone that the lightning hit in your area and the house 2 doors down from you had a problem. Why didn't you have a problem? Your ground, as we talked about yesterday, may have a great ground rod, great ground wire, and all your breakers are nice and tight. But she may have had a loose ground, not so. In other words, it's got to seek ground somewhere. So it's going to race through those wires looking for ground.
Oh, wow. Let's go to the phones. If you have a question, please call. The number is 622-9622. Of course, Jim George is your host. He'll answer your questions. It doesn't have to be about electricity. This sparked, to use a pun, I guess, last week. It sparked some interest. And then after the show last week, while the folks doing the horse show were on, a call came through. And I briefly spoke to the lady, and she asked me about the surge protectors and the one from the city. That's why I started. But you don't have to stay on that topic if you have a question about the internet or something else. But everything electricity related is Jim's specialty. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Hey, Hugh.
Hey, I know of people, and I've heard of it, where during an electrical storm, everybody or some people like to turn off their television set because they think they're protecting it. Is that going to help any, or is that just once you get nailed by lightning, if it's on or off, it don't make any difference?
Well, it really depends, Hugh. The reason why they turn it off may be that they don't want to see the picture tube, the old CRT tubes, or the instantaneous rise, let's say, when it comes back on. Most of the new sets, as you know, when the power goes off, even for a moment, you have to turn it back on. The real problem is not in the on and off. The real problem is in the electrical wiring. So theoretically, when people go up north for vacations and such, especially on top of the world, Ocala Palms, and senior living places, you'll find that they unplug things from the wall. Now, why would they want to unplug things from the wall if, in fact, they've had them turned off? Because that's where the problem is. The problem can actually come through the electrical lines and tear up your TV, even though you had it turned off.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so you don't want... So that's it. So that's why most people put UPSs in, by the way.
Yeah, on this program, I learned something that I never ever before considered was having a surge protector for your refrigerator. I never heard of anybody losing a refrigerator through electrical storm or lightning. What kind of surge protector would you recommend for? Would it have to be something bigger because you're talking a bigger unit, a bigger motor, and that?
No, not really. They have these little devices that have electronic circuits in them. They're very small. You can actually plug it into the electric and then plug your refrigerator into it. I have one called a MOVAC, MOV, and basically it's like a diode, a little circuit, and when the voltage rises, it opens up. And then after about 1 minute, it resets itself automatically. And they're about $15. And you can get them at any electrical wholesale house, but I think you could probably get them at Lowe's or Home Depot also.
Yeah. Of course, you can always pull the refrigerator out, unplug it, and you'd probably be safe.
Oh, no. You don't want to do that. You want to put this little device back there. If you ever remove your refrigerator, be surprised for what you see behind it.
Not only that, but I don't want to get my beer warm.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, my wife is a cleanaholic, and I can tell you right now that when we removed our refrigerator, because I wanted to do some wallpapering and paint behind it, you would not believe what was behind there. And yet, because we had cats, and it sucks in the cat hair, it sucks in everything. There's a fan under there blowing constantly.
Okay. Well, I really enjoy your program. It's been very helpful, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And the phone line is open if you want to call Jim. The number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. As long as you're talking about refrigerators, can I tell you how I lost a refrigerator?
Sure.
Bugs. I had, a refrigerator, not that old.
Right.
Just stopped working one day.
Right.
The repairman, to make a long story short, took it apart and basically said that I had little baby roaches living in the motor or somewhere, and they basically ruined it.
Yep.
And so I just got a new refrigerator, and I've been spraying around a refrigerator ever since. I never heard of that before.
Yeah. Well, there's like a squirrel cage, and in that squirrel cage is a little fan, and it's blowing the cool air to keep everything, your compressor and everything, kind of cool under there. It really depends on what year your refrigerator is, what model, and so on and so forth. But the bottom line is, no one ever maintains that. We remove our refrigerator about once every 2 years from the wall, take the back off, take a vacuum, and vacuum it all clean. Sometimes the vacuum won't work, so you have to get one of those one of the leaf blowers.
Go the other direction, blow it out.
And then we just put it in a corner somewhere, wrap some. In other words, you got to take all that stuff that sticks to it, because there's grease in the air when you cook even food.
Yeah,
that grease will get sucked under there.
Yeah, I believe.
And then the dust gets clogged, and so you got to keep them clean.
Are the electronic devices that we use regularly, like a TV, a computer, and anything like that you paid a couple $100 or more for, are they more fragile to power surges and lightning than, let's say, a refrigerator?
No. The small stuff that draws very little current. A TV draws very little current. Let's say your set-top converter box draws a lot of current. Matter of fact, if you were to do a survey of what do I have in my house that draws more current, the water heater, the air conditioner, your set-top converter box draws more current than all those. So if you have a Cox cable
Really?
TV box, yeah, they're
Why?
power hungry. Just the
Really?
way they're designed, they're power
More
hungry.
than the water heater.
Yeah, more than a water, because a water heater heats up to a certain point and stops, and then it waits
Ah,
for you to use the water, and it comes on. The set-top converter box is running 24 hours a day, and you don't want to unplug it, because if you unplug it and you plug it back in, it has to reset itself. It has to go out and get its ID card. It's got to, it goes through a routine. But yeah. There's a lot of devices that are power hungry, but your little small radios and TVs, they're not power hungry. Everything is energy wise.
Now, is there anything to talk about at all with these devices that supposedly recharge your phone? I haven't actually seen one, not in somebody's hand anyway. I don't know how they work. I mean, you don't have to plug to a wall. You carry this pen in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And your phone is running out of power, and you connect the pen to this thing, and it fills it up like right away. What?
Fills it up right away. Well, it actually puts more power into it. It's like if you have a 12-volt battery in your car, and Matt can better answer this Monday for you when he's on. You're not putting 12 volts into it. You're putting like 14 volts into it. So, a trickle charging your battery with 14 volts.
Oh, I got you.
All right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
So this device, if you have a 1-volt battery in your cell phone, it's putting like 6 volts into it. So it supercharges it, whereas the little small wall wart devices put just the right amount, like 1.5 volt, whatever it's supposed to be.
That's why it's so slow?
So it puts so slow. But you charge those things. I have one in my glove box right now, and about once a month, because I haven't used it in a long time, I take it in the house, I put it to my computer. My computer has a USB port. This thing charges it up using a USB port, and then I just put it back in the glove box. But yeah, when it says your battery is low and you're somewhere, you plug that thing in, and within 1 minute or less, it is charged.
That's amazing. So the actual device that does that also has to be recharged, but that one you kind of let sit around so that it charges slowly.
Yeah, right. It'll be about a month before it gets low.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, it lasts a long.
And what do they call it? What are they?
I don't know. I'll bring one in next week and leave it with you. I have about a dozen of them.
Leave it with me.
They're like $10, but when I go to trade shows, I get them free because a lot of the vendors throw them at me and say, "Here, try this. Buy this."
Oh, wow.
But I'll bring one in, and they come all different colors. They're unique in what they do.
I would be curious to see if I could find one for my camera rather than buying a new battery.
There you go.
Just get a new recharger because the battery is like $100.
Oh, yeah, the camera batteries are expensive.
Yeah, the video camera battery. It's not cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you have a question for Jim, this is a good time to call. The number is 622-WOCA. You want to touch on anything new?
Well, the Supreme Court ruled on Aereo. Aereo was the company that was sending out a little small antenna the size of a dime. You put this on your window facing, outside. And then what it would do is it would pick up the channels that you and I have talked about. You should get your own little outside antenna, and you could get like 20 channels.
Right.
Well, this was a little small device, and then it went to their box, and their box got hooked to the internet. And what it did, it allowed you, no matter where you were, to receive your off-the-air channels, and then you could store them in the cloud on Aereo's massive servers. And then when you wanted to watch Channel 2 because you hit record, you just hit record and it comes through. Well, the broadcasters complained that Aereo was rebroadcasting their channels by virtue of the fact that they stored it, they resent it, they needed a retransmission agreement. Aereo says, "No, you got to be kidding me. That's not. How can that be? The homeowner can put up his own antenna and get it." They said, "Yes, that's true." And then he said, "Well, the homeowner can buy a TiVo and record it." Yes, that's true.
Right.
But if you're going to record it, and if you're going to charge for a service, you got to pay for the retransmission rights.
And that was the
they
ruling?
said nope. So the Supreme Court ruled 6-3. Salio, I think, and Thomas and another person said that Aereo should not have to pay, but the other 6, because there's 9 people on the Supreme Court, I believe, they said that yes, they have to pay. So a 6-3 ruling. Aereo is officially out of business. So.
Oh, really?
Yep. So Harry, Mr. Dillard, I think his first name is Harry. I'm not real positive right now. He decided to go ahead and close Aereo down. But you have to understand what they ruled. All they ruled on is that they should have paid retransmission fees.
Right.
So if Dillard would just say, okay, fine, what are the fees?
Right, that's what I was
and
thinking.
pass it on to the people,
Right.
he's in business. And he has the most unique business plan in the universe, typical to what we're trying to do, which is give you channels on a a la carte basis when you want them and how you want them.
Right.
But there again, we're going to pay Channel 2 and Channel 10 and ABC, NBC, CBS. We want to be legal because we don't want our wrist slapped.
Right.
All right. We don't want to go to the Supreme Court.
Right.
So, but he's decided that he does not want to be in that business. Now, it does say in the ruling that maybe NBC or CBS or one of these big conglomerates are going to buy him out. Why? Because he has the technology that allows them to now offer to you not only Channel 2 out of Orlando, but to record it and to play back when you want to.
See, why does he just pay it? I mean,
Exactly. I don't know.
well, maybe you'll take over. All right, let's go to the phone. Somebody's calling. Good morning. You're on the air with Jim George.
Good morning, guys. Listen, I want to ask you, does that mean that cloud service and cloud storing and retransmission is going to be on the cross line of the legal system?
No, just the opposite. The one thing they did say was this ruling does not affect cloud technology or cloud storage. It only affects the one suit, which was should Ariel be paying rebroadcast fees. The technology, they said, is up to Congress. Congress will have to rewrite and get with the FCC to change rules. But right now, you can do cloud storage, you can do internet TV, you can do all that, which is being done right now by Netflix and a few others.
Mm-hmm. Correct, okay.
But you got to pay for the
I heard
service.
some commentary about that the cloud was going to be next for some reason, and I didn't cut the reason why. But anyway, so I was kind of a little curious.
Yeah, no, that everything like what we're doing, where we're going to send you channels, and you can record them, hit record, and it records in the cloud, and then when you want them, you just go back and hit unpause or play, and there they are. All that is legal. The only thing that the lawsuit said was, if you're going to deliver a channel to somebody, even though they can theoretically put up their own antenna and get it for free, if you're going to be a business plan and resell it, you have got to pay NBC and ABC because there are copyright fees that have to be paid.
Okay, great. Well, listen, while I'm at it, I want to ask you something real quick. Is there a way yet on the horizon that we can get internet access that is not contingent upon the cable TV companies?
Yes, you can get internet by satellite.
Or anything like that.
You can get internet by satellite. There are companies out there that, well, even Dish and I think DirecTV both have a sub-company they own. If you go to Google and type in satellite internet reception or how do I get internet through satellite, you'll come up with the 3 or 4 companies. One's right here in Jacksonville that does it, and they will install the dish for you, and you'll have high-speed internet through the satellite.
How reliable do you think it is?
Oh, it's fairly reliable, but it's like any DirecTV or Dish. When it rains, you're going to lose it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, that's not great, but all right. Thanks so much, man.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't done anything. I know you've advised me several times what I should do, but I haven't done it. It's so frustrating for me because I'll turn on my modem, whatever you call that thing, because I do not keep it on all the time. Mm-hmm. I prefer actually to unplug it, like you said, because I don't want it to burn out.
Right.
But I'll turn it on, everything be working fine, all of a sudden no internet connection.
Right.
And I got to reboot it. It's the most frustrating thing.
And when my clients call in and say, I was with CenturyLink for years and I never had to reboot mine. Yes, you did. You just weren't on the internet at a time when it went off. But like we have CenturyLink right now at our house, and I literally reboot my modem once a week. I have to because it locks up. Or now that I have Prism, which is the TV over the internet, it'll say lost connection with server.
Oh, no.
And I have to unplug it.
I think that's what mine says too. Although mine's more than once a week, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Mine's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, how do we get a hold of you? What's your number?
Certainly, it's 854-9795.
All right, and call us if you need that repeated. Jim George, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a little break. It's time for Horse Sense in just a few minutes. This is The Source, WOCA.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Amid concerns of the